Well, hey guys, it is the next afternoon. We're back here on this 365 build. I'm not sure what we're going to call it yet, but you know, I'm doing something I normally don't do. We're going to copy some other builders' builds, some stuff I've normally not agreed with in the past. It's okay to experiment on things. I'll never do this on a customer's saw or anyone else's saw other than that. I'm making it sound like I run a business here. I don't by any means. We'll just say a buddy's saw, just so I don't cause any confusion with anyone. But I've got several of these cylinders. This one's not perfect. It's got a big hunk out of the back of it up here. It has been hot tanked. Someone was planning on using it, but it'll be a good candidate for it. Who knows? It may not run half bad at all. We may just leave it there and, you know, pull it out and run it from time to time again. It is an OEM cylinder. Just to show you guys that I'm not using, you know, Chinese junk, as some people call it. I'm starting to get that a lot. Guys, I really don't care what you buy and what you like. I like my OEM saws, you guys know that. We're not fanboys here of one brand or the other. I like my Steels, I like my Huskies, I like the old Max. The old Home Lights are their own animal. I think a lot of us grew up on one of those one way or another, whether it be an old XL12 or a Super 2 or a Super XL. Most people that grew up around wood or around farms had their hands on a Home Light at one point or another. I really like the little Echo I bought. I've not ported it yet. We're going to. I just don't know when I get a bunch of other stuff knocked out, but it is nice to have a new saw that's quiet and, you know, you can throw it in the truck. You guys may know what I mean, or may get it, and then you may not. I don't know. It ain't the fastest or most powerful thing in the world, but it ain't no dog either. I still say a stock 026 will walk off and leave it, but I don't know. That's a race we may need to do. I've got a bone stock 026 here that we need to do something with. It's a really, really nice low hour saw though, and it may be worth more money as is than it would if I tore it down and ported it, and who knows? I don't know. Sometimes a ported saw's easy to sell and sometimes they ain't. It all depends on who's looking to buy a saw, I guess, but we're going to get into the port work on this thing today. I kind of need to find a 48mm ring. Let me pause you guys and do that. I'm pretty sure I've got a used one over here on a piston in a drawer to keep from maybe getting into. I'm just going to push the ring up in the cylinder if it's got a good snug fit, and we're not squaring it off, so we're going to cut down to it and kind of keep to the factory shape of the port, and, you know, leave it be at that, if that makes any sense to anyone. Well guys, what I've done right now is I've got a ring in the cylinder and I've backed this wheel up. It's not going to be the easiest thing in the world to see, but there's where we're at. I've got to turn my head sideways to read that thing. I have bifocals anyway. I've been in them for a long time, but some of you will understand that. As usual, about the time I go to doing anything, someone pulls in. When we go deal with that, and I'll come back and pull the cylinder off. Alright guys, we're back. It's FedEx, some stuff my wife had ordered from Walmart showed up. So that's where we're at. Let's pull it off and see exactly how far we gotta move it. And I was holding it down when I put it on there. You don't really have to put a bolt in to set port height. And about as expected. I guess I could pull you guys back off and give you a look. We're moving the port about 50 thou, it looks like, or so, 50 thou or something. Get it in the light. We may take a paint marker or Sharpie and make us a mark there just in case, but who knows? I've got an idea of how this thing's gonna run. It's probably gonna have to be, you know, you're balling or grinding, have to be spot on with it. I don't think you're gonna be able to lean on it really hard, but then again, some of these guys claim opening the transfers up improves torque. I don't know, from what I've seen, it kind of moves everything up in the RPM band a little bit. My theory on that could be completely ass backwards, but seems, you know, opening things up, putting fingers and stuff in kind of, you know, moves it up to where it holds a higher RPM. I don't know that it's making any more power or grunt up there, but it's just my experience with it. But when we get to the transfers, I'll probably lay a 372 gasket on there and outline, and we'll open them up out to that gasket. From researching and watching, some of the guys claim to put a taper in. We'll do that, like a funnel effect. Probably half a dozen of you have the theory that, you know, you're creating like pinching down the water hose effect, and that helps keep the case compression up, and, you know, it's letting more of the exhaust charge go out. Who am I to argue with the man's theory? I'm just going to put it to the test for myself here, and I'm not trying to, like I said last night, I'm not really wanting to look like an asshole in doing it. It's just more research and development, and I'm going to try to keep it as professional as possible, I guess. But if I don't like the outcome of it, you know, we're going to let you guys know about it, and maybe show you the pros and cons of each build. But we will do a 28. We will run the same bar and chain. I don't know that I've swapped the bar and chain here on camera, but we'll do that. We'll bring the saw back in here after we make a cut. We'll sit down, we'll swap bar and chain out. We'll give you a look at the chain to show that it is the same. We'll run it on this saw first, you know, just to give it the benefit of the doubt. It may not need it. May outperform my other build, I don't know. The high RPM may take over and win, who knows, but that big piece of hickory will sure put it to the test. But the next thing we need to do, I guess, is get to grinding on the roof of that exhaust port. Alright guys, we're going to use the Dremel. I've got about a wore out tile cutter bit on here. I hope I've got you guys in frame. My phone said I did. Kind of difficult for me to see at this angle, but we're going to start by just lowering the center of the port down to that ring. Then we'll blend it all back in, kind of leave an oval shape on the port. I've done oval ports before, they work. I don't know that they make the power in a two-stroke that a square port does. I don't know one way or the other, but we're getting close. That thing cuts quick. We're right at the cusp of the top of that ring. Guys, I have no idea where that camera cut off, but I don't know if what we can pick up here. And we just pull you off the tripod so I can see through the camera monitor where we're at with this garbage. It may not be garbage, I don't know. I just call everything garbage. It ain't a bad looking port, you know. And also, you know, if we don't like this, I'm gonna leave it to where, you know, I could go back and correct things, a little bit of cutting on the lathe, or maybe epoxy in the intake, or, you know, who knows, we may like it for certain types of cutting and leave it the hell alone. But I was grinding away on that port and then stopped and went to stop the camera and realized it had overheated and shut itself off, which is I've got this one set to where it shouldn't do that. I even have the front monitor turned off on it, but it just turned hot here again. They say it's in the 70s, but I swear it feels like it's in the mid 80s. I guess I could look at my thermometer back here and look, but here in the shop it feels like it's in the 80s or something, and humid. Kind of weird for it to be that warm going into the second week of November. My dad missed first day muzzleloader season. It was so warm and hot Saturday. Said he'd never miss the opening day of deer season ever. So that tells you anything about how warm it is here. He's afraid flies would blow a deer before he ever got it home and got it hung up, which is probably what would happen. But anyway, I guess the next thing we're going to do is we got 67 on the intake. We're going to have to move it roughly about 100 thou, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll get the cylinder back over there, and I'll pull some timing numbers, see where we're at, and then we'll come back and then do all of our, I guess, flow work, we're going to call it. And I do believe that flow work does work to an extent, but it all depends on how you go about doing it and how much material you use. And again, that's just my theory on the matter, but I'll bring you guys back then. Good to get that better at this angle. I stopped dragging intakes way down, I don't know, a couple years ago, I guess. Seemed like it was just killing my throttle response, which meant it was probably killing port velocity. We want to get in our intake timing other ways. I'm not saying I don't grind on them at all, that would be a lie, but I don't really care for moving 180 or 100,000. This thing's probably going to be ugly, ugly, ugly. Well, guys, the exhaust port, we got it fell dead on like 99. That's about right where we wanted it. I'm not going to polish it or anything. We'll just leave a kind of a smooth finish on it and leave it be, because, you know, polishing's nonsense. It doesn't help, doesn't work. Again, I ain't picking on no one. I'm just copying what others say. I've got my blung. I've even cut some extra humps on the top of that intake port. And you can already see how low I've dropped that and how much I've ground on it. I generally would not do that. I have in the past, but this has kind of been a trial and error here on me the whole damn time. You know, researching, trying what others do, but don't know that I've ever kind of done one this way. I've honestly, as much as I've lowered that intake port, it's just now, like say, 150 degrees of duration. No joke. It's like 75 and a half on this thing. So I've got to go over here and I've got to cut on it one more time, I hope. Evidently I'm pulling about 50 thou at a time. We're going from 67 to 80. I'm gonna get as close to 80 as possible. If I bring it back over here and it's 78, 79, I'm gonna take a light pass on it this time, lighter than I've been doing. Kind of go from there. It is best to measure, you know, and draw a line or whatever, but here's the hogged out transfer, and it is on a taper. It's not that huge all the way down. So it should have the funnel effect. I can honestly get a finger to go down in them. And here's the stock transfer. What we're using. And I've had this cutter a long time. Big, huge single bit Alumahog. It's something you generally use on automotive cylinder heads or intakes. I've opened up a lot of 5-liter intakes with that thing, stock ones, GT40 intakes. I've ported LS1 cylinder heads with it. Back in the day stuff. I'm sure you guys can relate with your own things you used to do, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish the other side and do just a little more touch-up work on it, and I'll clean the base of it up a little bit where we'll get a good stick with our glue. And that's going to be kind of it on this. I'm about done with the exhaust support, I think. I've got it about where I want it. We may do a little bit more, but I'll give you guys a look when we're finished. Well guys, I went completely out of my comfort level on this. We'll see. I don't know what to expect, how it's going to run or how it's going to act. I've never ground on transfers that way, and I didn't turn that base down. It just, I took some 500 grit paper and went around it by hand just to get a little bit of something for the glue to grab a hold of. Exhaust support, like I said, I just made really light passes with that tile cutter, and sadly enough my Dremel quit on this cylinder. I could smell the brushes getting hot, and it slowed down and got to where it wouldn't even run. So it does look like the brushes in it are replaceable, so we may look into that, or we may pick up another one of the cheaper lines of Fordham, or maybe one of the Grizzly grinders or something. I had one of the Harbor Freight ones, and the shaft on it ended up snapping, and I've still got the motor and the handpiece here. I'm not for sure that you can get that exact shaft or not, but I don't know, it'd be just as cheap just to go up there and buy another complete kit. But that's where we're at. The intake port, I had to really lower it a lot, way more than I'd normally do. I think the last one I lowered that far was the original cylinder on that the 372 kit saw, but the timing numbers on that were quite some bit different. It didn't really hog anything out on it. I think the exhaust roof on it was left wherever it fell because it squished was so bad, but we've redone that saw since then. But anyway, that's where we're at. I've got might be able to see if I hold it up into the light, like a lung, I guess is what it looks like, cut into the roof of the intake port. I even added a few little like channels or lumps or whatever you want to call it in there, and it's left a lot rougher than I'd normally leave something. The transfers are left a lot rougher than I would normally do. It's not picking up on the camera at all, but that's another thing, you know, what one man calls rough and what another man calls rough could be two totally different things. You know, it is what it is. Everybody's got their own way they like to do things, and you know, who am I to say what's right or wrong? This will just be my experience with it. But the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to pull that piston off and, you know, knock down some of the places on it I feel we could knock down without, you know, making it structurally weaker, I guess is what I'm trying to say. This thing will probably turn some pretty serious RPMs out of the cut. Who knows in the cut? I don't know. They claim that, you know, these massive transfers will help the saw hold RPM in the cut. I know finger ports do, so I don't know. Maybe the huge transfers will act kind of like a finger port. Again, I ain't took one this far. You know, I just from my experience with automobile cylinder heads, if you went in and hogged out an intake port, say, you ended up losing port velocity and ended up actually lowering the horsepower of the car, or the engine rather. But I'll get that piston done, give you guys a look at it, and we'll bring you back. They really do a lot. This piston, I shaved it down some on the inside, and there's some places sticking up here. We kind of dropped all of that down. That'll actually help feed those monster transfers a little better as well. Hopefully the next thing you guys see is whatever I decide to do for the muffler mod on it. I may just take that old muffler we pulled off of it instead of using the new one, and put us a piece of pipe in that fish gill that was on it, and you know, to where we'll know that it can breathe, that the muffler's not restricting it or anything. But I'll bring you guys back then. Alright guys, I've got 2 heat cycles on it. What we done on the muffler, I just put that other one back on it. But I come over here and put another fish gill in it, and this old muffler, it's beat up. It's seen better days. It ain't like I kind of hacked up a nice muffler there, but the saw does have a nice sound to it. I mean, it feels like a ported saw, but just sitting here in my hands, it don't feel like what I generally build. It is snappy. It wants to rev to the freaking moon. I've got it tuned rich, and we are going to break this in before we run it against the other saw. It would only be fair. I'll put a tank or 2 through it, but it does feel like it has more compression than I would have thought. I'll make sure the decomp's out, but I don't know. We'll put a gauge on it, but I'm going to start it here for you guys. With the intake cut on like that and the transfers hogged out the way they are and the roof as high as it is, I just didn't expect it to have any throttle response at all. But as you can see, it'll get up and get on the pipe really damn quick. I don't know where it's at. I had to fatten it up. Probably half a turn from where it was at on the high jet, and I think I moved it about a quarter of a turn on the low jet. It wants to rev really, really high. Well, let's put it that way. I don't know where the jets are at, but I mean, we had a 99 exhaust roof, 28 thou squish, 99 roof, 128 on the transfers at 29 degrees of blow down, and the intake fell around 78. It might benefit from just a touch more intake duration, but I don't know, I highly doubt you'd notice a damn difference. But then again, who knows, maybe on a tack or maybe on a timed cut or something. But intake was so huge, I really wasn't wanting to grind on it much more. But let's say we check compression. You guys remember where we was at? It had a pop-up 50mm jug, had over 40,000 squish. I don't remember the exact number. You're welcome to go back and watch the video, but it's up there pretty good. 103 roof. I think it might have been 103 and a half, like it would really matter. Let's see what that done as far as static compression, and you know, the rings haven't seated. It's not, or the ring rather hasn't seated. Ain't really a fair compression test, but it might pick up 10 psi, 15 at the very, very most. I'm expecting like something like 140 pound of compression here, honestly, no joke. But we'll see. A pop-up piston would help it some. Wow, that's horrible. Let's give it the benefit of the doubt and give it a few more pulls. And take note, the rings ain't seated. Or ring. That's horrible. I'm hoping it's flooded. I don't know how well that'll pick up on there, but about right at 140 psi. Once it's said and done, broke in, it'll be 150 psi build, and you know you can expect that from grinding the roof of your exhaust support and not doing any machine work. You can grind a little bit without losing a lot. I ain't saying to leave the damn thing set at a really low number, but if you're running a long bar, you might want to do so. You'll have to forgive the dogs barking. I think my daughter's outside feeding. Yeah, that's about what you're gonna get. So we lost compression over where we was at, but does the transfer work and the little flow tricks people do? I know everybody grinds and ports different. That's just a given. To be fair, I guess I probably should have shut the low jet off on the carb. Ain't gonna make that big of a difference. So, like I said, once it's sitting down on this, you're probably looking at 150 psi build. So, it is what it is. I know you're grinding on the exhaust roof's gonna do that. If you're gonna grind it, you at least better be able to tighten squish up, and I don't recommend really grinding one even maybe that far without a pop-up or cutting the band or something. Now we could order us a pop-up and put in this thing, and you know we pick up another 15-20 psi. I've gained more than that on some saws, but I think a lot of that had to do with the rings not being seated properly. But I'm gonna get a bar and chain. We're gonna grab that 20 that I don't remember what saw we had it on, but when we done the grinding video, we'll grab that bar and chain. It should still be good to go. I don't think I hit anything with it. And make sure she's good and fueled up, and just go back here and put it in a piece of wood, make some test cuts. I'm expecting it in smaller wood to cut really fast, but we'll just have to see. But I'll bring you guys back then. Well guys, we'll try it in the hickory in a little bit, but I just want to make sure it's cut and the tune-up's in on this smaller wood. I have no idea what to expect here. We're about to find out together. It out a little and I'll bring you guys back. It is really rich. Well guys, let's see where we're at now. I've got it leaned out a little more. Not near as rich as it was. Honestly, don't feel half bad. It'll grab and pull itself into the log. That's not real hard wood, but it ain't real soft either. guys, it don't get no better than that to see what a saw's worth. That's as hard as it gets, maybe other than black locust. They don't really get that big around here, much of them don't, the locusts, but let's see how it does. This is where I'm expecting it to fall on its face, but again, you know, it could prove me wrong. I was trying to stall it out on that smaller log and cutting, so I'm just gonna get it on the pipe and let it cut and see how it acts. I don't know that I'll cut all the way through. I don't really want to get that chain in these rocks. Well, shit. I don't know what to say. Second cut, I was pulling on it pretty good. It is a 20. We're not making it all the way through the log over here in this section. That's just fine, whatever. It'd take a 2-foot bar to get through it. Gets wider as it goes in up toward the where the branch forks off. Be a good test for the 28, but I don't know, that other saw probably torquier, holds RPM better in the cut, but we'll put some time on this one before we you know, to give it the benefit of the doubt, let the ring seat before we get into that endeavor. But guys, it ain't what you think. I've joked and said people butchered saws up before. It didn't run like that other top end on it, or I would have left it. And I think a lot of that was just that little red barn piston. I probably could have put the Farmer Tech flat top back in it and been tickled to death with the build, but I don't know. You guys let me know what you think. Proof's in the hickory there. Like I said, that wood ain't no damn joke. You better have a sharp chain. If you guys remember at the Leco, it was taking it, I don't know, I didn't count, probably over 2 minutes to get through that same section as what cut that was at the Leco. And I'd kind of being easy on it toward the bottom of the cut because I didn't want to wreck my chain, because we're right here in gravel and a bunch of other shit. But anyway, this has been fun. We'll get some time on it and we'll get something set up here. It might be next week or something, I don't know. I've got a lot here going on to do, but we'll get the 2 saws out and run them against one another, switch the barn chain out on camera, and just, you know, I can tell you that other saw's torquey, I do know that, but is it faster? That's, you know, that's the main deal. But as always, thank you guys for watching. Y'all have a great day.